After Star Trek TNG Season 1, Captain Picard's starship lacked one thing every other Enterprise had. When Star Trek The Next Generation hit its stride in Season 2, almost everything improved. The characters sharpened, the moral dilemmas deepened, and Jean-Luc Picard finally felt like the captain of the Enterprise rather than a stiff placeholder for Kirk's legacy. Fans usually talk about Season 1 as the awkward growing pains era and Season 2 as the real beginning of TNG. But hidden inside that creative glow-up is a strange, almost invisible change. After Season 1, Picard's Enterprise quietly lost something that nearly every other Enterprise, before and after, treated as sacred. And once you notice it, you can't unnotice it. The Enterprise tradition TNG broke. Across Star Trek, the Enterprise isn't just a ship. It's a ritual. Each version carries forward small traditions that link captains, crews, and eras together. One of the most consistent traditions is also one of the simplest. The captain formally introduces the mission through a captain's log at the start of the episode. James T. Kirk did it. Jonathan Archer did it. Benjamin Sisko did it. Catherine Janeway did it. Even Christopher Pike brought it back with reverence in Strange New Worlds. But Picard's Enterprise, specifically after TNG Season 1, slowly stopped doing it. Not entirely. Not officially. But consistently enough that the absence became the norm. Season 1. Picard follows the old rules. In Season 1 of The Next Generation, the captain's log is everywhere. Episodes frequently open with Picard's calm, measured voice. Captain's log, stardate. Those logs serve a clear purpose. They ground the audience, establish the mission, and remind us that this is still Star Trek, even if it looks sleeker and feels more diplomatic than Kirk's era. At that stage, TNG was still reassuring viewers. Yes, this is different, but it's still the Enterprise. So Picard followed the old Enterprise tradition almost religiously. Season 2 and beyond, the log fades away. Then Season 2 happens. The writing gets bolder. The characters stop explaining themselves. The show trusts the audience more. And suddenly, the captain's log starts vanishing. Not gone completely, but used sparingly, often mid-episode or as a closing thought rather than a formal opening ritual. Many episodes now start in motion. A tense conversation already underway. A mystery already unfolding. A moral dilemma dropped on the table without explanation. Picard doesn't introduce the situation anymore. The story does. By Seasons 3 to 7, it's entirely normal for an episode of TNG to open without Picard's voice at all. That makes Picard's Enterprise the odd one out. Every other Enterprise kept the log sacred. What makes this stand out is how every other Enterprise doubled down on the tradition instead of abandoning it. Kirk's Enterprise practically canonized the captain's log as a storytelling device. Archer's Enterprise used logs to emphasize humanity's inexperience. Pike's Enterprise in Strange New Worlds treats the opening log like a ceremonial torch passing. Even non-Enterprise captains like Janeway and Sisko lean heavily on logs to frame episodes. Picard's ship is the only Enterprise where the log feels optional. That's not an accident. Why Picard didn't need it. This isn't a mistake or a budget cut. It's a philosophical shift, and it fits Picard perfectly. Unlike most Starfleet captains, Picard doesn't perform command. He embodies it. Kirk announced the mission. Janeway contextualized it. Archer documented humanity's learning curve. Picard simply arrived at the moral center of a story and let everyone else catch up. Once TNG found its voice, the show realized something crucial. Picard didn't need to explain the Enterprise. The Enterprise explained Picard, a captain who doesn't narrate himself. There's also something deeply character-specific about this change. Picard is private, introspective, almost uncomfortable with self-mythologizing. The captain's log is, at its heart, a performance for history. It's a way of saying, this is who I am, and this is what I'm doing. Picard would rather debate ethics in a ready room, wrestle with doubt in silence, let actions speak instead of narration. So the logs move inward. They appear at the end of episodes or during moments of reflection, rather than as bold mission statements. The Enterprise doesn't declare its purpose anymore. It demonstrates it. The ship becomes a stage, not a diary. There's also a structural reason TNG moved away from logs. TNG is far more ensemble-driven than previous Star Trek series. Episodes often belong as much to Data, Worf, or Troy as they do to Picard. Opening with the captain framing everything subtly reinforces hierarchy. Removing the log opens the story up. Now the Enterprise feels like a living community, a floating society, a place where ideas clash before authority settles them. The ship stops being a diary entry and starts being a debate chamber. Movies bring the log back, carefully. Interestingly, when Picard transitions to the TNG films, the captain's log returns, but with restraint. The logs in the movies feel weightier, more deliberate. They mark moments of consequence rather than routine exploration. That reinforces the idea that Picard never abandoned the log. He simply respected it too much to use casually. What Picard's Enterprise lacked, on purpose. So yes, after season 1, Picard's Enterprise lacked one thing every other Enterprise had. A constant, ritualized captain's log opening every mission. But it wasn't a loss. It was a graduation. TNG didn't need to announce that it was Star Trek anymore. Picard didn't need to tell us who he was. And the Enterprise didn't need to explain why it mattered. It just mattered. And in doing so, Picard's ship became the most confident Enterprise of them all. The only one that didn't need to introduce itself.